You think it's good to go?
Everybody can please take a seat. We're going to start the funeral services for Martin out of respect for him and his family and the minister. If you could please turn off your cell phones or turn them to silence, it would be greatly appreciated. Everybody hear me okay? Good evening, everyone. Sorry about the circumstances, but I'm Natalie Nichols. It's my honor and my privilege to be here with you this evening. Many of you may not know me, but I have worked alongside Marty, his wife Lois, and his daughter Catherine for several years at the casino. Despite all of that time, I regret that I didn't get to know Marty as intimately as maybe some of you have. However, while speaking with his family this week, I feel like I've gotten to know more about him and more about the things that he felt were important to him. Ultimately, that's why we're here tonight. It's to honor and pay tribute to the life of Martin Thomas Lamont and to express our love and admiration for him and to provide support for his family and his friends. Martin Thomas Lamont, age 55, loving husband, father, grandfather, and brother, passed away Wednesday, September 1st, 2021, at the Ascension St. Mary's Hospital in Standish, Michigan. He was born on February 6, 1966, in Bay City, Michigan, to the late Martin and Alice Heyman Lamont. He was a graduate of Pinconning High School. He married the love of his life, Lois Swan, on February 14, 1987, at St. Valentine's Catholic Church. He was employed at the Saguenay East Landing Casino as a central plant operator in the maintenance department for several years. He was a very proud employee. He will always be remembered for his enjoyment of video chatting with people, playing on his tablet, and going to the casino. Most of all, he loved spending time with his family, his grandchildren, whom he adored. He is survived by his wife of 34 years, Lois, and their children, Kimberly and John McAvoy III, Catherine Lamont, and Thomas Lamont. Grandchildren, Ron, Sabrina, Lily, Angela, and Jade. Brothers and sisters, Morris and Penny Lamont, Mike and Janet Lamont, Mary and Bonnie Fullwood, Archie and Bill Kriegel, and Mark Lamont. He will be dearly missed by his daughter. In my discussions with Marty's family, I was told that he wasn't a particularly religious person. He believed in Jesus and eternal life, but he didn't feel it necessary to practice religion by attending church weekly on Sunday. Rather, he practiced the tenets of his belief by doing unto others. As Martin wasn't one to make a fuss, proceedings here tonight would be relatively short, simple, and most of all sincere. My privilege to play a small part in honoring who Marty was and what he believed. And what he was a gentle, kind, loving person who said little, but was privately a sensitive soul. It may be a bit ironic that he was quote unquote horrible at funerals. Lois said he would cry because he would get so overcome with emotion when he attended them. We all know Marty was devoted to his family. But did you know how excited he got on the birth of his first born child, Kimberly? Even though he was supposed to go back to Detroit the next day to go back to work, he showed up in Lois's hospital room, dressed with button down in his dress slacks, carrying a red rose for her. When she asked, "What about work?" he said, "I can't leave my girls. I quit." It's this dedication that Marty shared and had for his family that Kathy found a poem, I think, that sums Marty up very nicely. She asked me to read that. In loving memory, Dad. He never looked for praises. He was never one to boast. just went on quietly working for the ones he loved the most. His dreams were seldom spoken, his words were very few, and most of the time his worries went unspoken too. He was there, a firm foundation through all of the storms of life, a sturdy hand to hold on to, time to stress and strife. A true friend we could turn to from times good or bad. One of our greatest blessings, the man we call Dad. His other blessings, his grandchildren, Ron Jr., Sabrina, Lily, Angela, and Jade, will greatly miss their grandpa. They'll miss spending their afternoons and their weekends with him. They'll miss playing with him on his tablet and watching TV while snuggled up in his lap. Sometimes it's the simplest moments that mean the most and whose memories last the longest. It provides a fond bank of recollection. Kids will know that they were loved by their grandma. It was mentioned in the poem that Marty was a firm foundation. It's not just metaphor. Marty was a carpenter for over 25 years. He was always willing to help a friend in need with whatever project he or she may have been working on. Sometimes he would finish it for them. His special friend Mandy told me that he built her deck for her. Another friend, Sheila, said that Marty built her stairs in an afternoon at last minute's notice in the winter so that she could, the house that she was trying to buy from pass inspection, and pass inspection it did with flying colors. These ladies think of Marty every time they gaze at his handiwork. Marty, as we know, he sacrificed his time. It's a testament to that sacrifice for his family that Marty lived away from home for more than 15 years as he worked for him. He was so pleased when he hired him at the casino because it gave him an opportunity to be home with his family every night. Kathy said that sometimes he would come home and he would ask her how her day was, and then he'd excitedly share about his own. He'd tell her how much he loved his job and how much he enjoyed going there. As a central plan operator, I've been told that Marty could fix anything. And one time, he even, what she said, quote unquote, MacGyver, a solution to a long-standing flooding problem we'd had in the basement. In fact, even just after a couple of months, he had received the Employee of the Month award, and I believe it was deservedly so. Marty continued to be a valuable employee to the casino, to his department, but to the entire facility as a whole. Now, I work at the casino. I can't speak in an educated way at all about central plan operations, but our next speaker can. I'd like to introduce Mr. Danny Gutierrez, Marty's longtime friend and boss. He'd like to say a few words.
Yep. Good evening. My last conversation I had with Marty, he was really proud of his patients. And he would say that he was the only one that could do the sleep, you know. And he would be crying and having the baby, and he was snoring, so I would like to sleep. He was proud of you, John. That's the stuff I watch you all the time. Well, yeah, I want to start off. I want to start with saying we have lost one of the very best in our community, our Lamont. That would be truly missed by us all. I was very fortunate to have Marty Lamont work for me for 10 years. Today it was an outstanding individual and employee. Marty was like the go-to guy for multiple projects. And that is very easy to work with. He was a hardworking individual. He was dedicated. He was trustworthy. And he was dependable. Most of all, a good friend to me and my family as well. We were very fortunate to have such a friend in our lives, such as Marty Lamont. And we know Marty get touch many people in our community as well in a positive way. That was the kind of person Marty was. This world would be in such a better place if we have more people to live his life. Marty had set good examples for all of us to follow. I pray to God that Marty Lamont has a special place set aside up there in the heaven for Marty Lamont so much to deserve. Thank you. I kind of wrote another little here for the council over there because we wanted to have some information. It's pretty much what I had said here, but a little bit different. Marty has been an outstanding central plant operator. That's a big job to learn. It's a computerized system. A lot of people say he's hands-on, and he was good at it. But he was also very intelligent to run a computerized system. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 months to learn it, and he did. He mastered it. He was very good at it. But like I said, Marty was an outstanding central plant operator. You know, like I said, also an outstanding individual. Marty was like a friend to us all. He would always come out of his way to help others, here and outside of work as well. Martin had a strong background of building engineer and exterior work. Matter of fact, many individuals here with their own home projects and others in the community as well. Martin had always had an outstanding yearly evaluation working for the tribe. That's once a year we have to give somebody evaluation. We gotta be truthful about it, because we gotta get them room to grow. But Marty didn't need no room to grow. He was outstanding every year, 10 years straight. But he was, like I said, he was a virtual guy, very easy to work with. He's gonna be very missed by us all. We feel that set outstanding examples for us all to follow. We wish his family the best, as they are hardworking people. They are an outstanding loving family as well. But we are very fortunate to have gotten well. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I've already mentioned Marty's penchant for carpentry and enjoying the video chatting with his tablet. But as Kathy put it, her dad loved 3 things: family, TV, and food. And I can second that sentiment. One thing he did not love, though, was hunting. I was told he couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. Nor the least of which, a feisty feline that Tom got the worst end of after a pet cat was accidentally folded in a couch. The cat was tossed outside, Marty doing the tossing in his underwear. You're welcome for the visual. Described as a real life Elmer Fudd. Upon marrying Lois and joining her family for a hunting trip, Marty fell asleep under a tree with his lunch on his chest. He woke up to find his prey, the deer, eating the sandwich off of his chest. He decided to pack it in for the day and went back to the house just for the deer to follow. That must have been a really good sandwich. Lois said, "There's the deer. Wanted to shoot it." He picked up his rifle, he aimed it. He'd loaded chapstick instead of a bullet. So Marty wasn't hungry, but what he was hilarious. He used to make up songs with nonsensical words like apple pie in my eye, as he was saying while he was going to take one of his princess baths, which, as I understand it, were a 3-hour-long event. And speaking of baths, it sounds like he may have been pretty fond of water. Aside from fishing with his grandparents as a child, or going out with Dana or Reggie on the big boat, little Birdie told me about an incident when Marty was younger. He was down by the creek at some autumn get-together, He decided to get up and wanted to dance. So he was gesticulating wildly and he was moving and hollering and he got a little too carried away and fell in the street. I don't know if he was a good dancer or not, but I'm glad he was with. In seriousness though, every one of us here has been affected, perhaps in small ways, perhaps in large ones, by Marty. His life mattered to us. Together, let us open our hearts and commemorate the impact that Martin Lamont had on us all. Marty was gone from this life, and it's only natural that we should be sad. Comfort of having a son, a husband, a father, a grandfather, a brother, or a friend may indeed be lost. But the comfort of having had that friend, that's never lost. To counter the grief of losing him, we have the joy of having had known him. The joy which we become especially aware of at this moment, as we spent a few moments in contemplation to remember Marty in all of his good times, with all of the laughter that he brought us, and to recall the special personal qualities that made him so unique. I think Marty, in his belief in life after death, would like to reassure you that he is well. Though a man of few words in life, given the opportunity, he may have wished to share his feelings for you, to you. I think the next reading would say all of those things he would have liked to have said. This reading is from the poems of Ethan Jolly by Ethan Jolly Gay. It was beautiful as long as it lasted, the journey of my life. I have no regrets whatsoever, save the pain I'll leave behind. Those pure hearts to love and care, and the heavy with sweet, ever moist eyes. The smile in spite of love in the throat, and the strings pulling my heart and hair. Strong out arms that held me up, and my own strength let me down. Each morsel that I was fed with was full of love. At every turning of my life, I came across good friends who stood by me. Even when the time raced me by, farewell, farewell, my friends. Smile and bid you goodbye. No, shed no tears, for I need them not. All I need is your smile. If you feel sad, do think of me, for that's what I'll like. When you live in the hearts of those you love, remember them, you never die. Today is a day for memories. It will be remembered for many reasons. Mainly, I hope it will be remembered by you all as a very special day, but you shared some time with others in order to pay your last respects. To say both mentally and physically a sad and fond farewell to a wonderful, funny, devoted man. A man we're all privileged to know. On to some of those memories. Now, as we spend a few moments, to hold on to Marty in your own special way. Those who practice religious faith, please use this time for your own prayer, if you so choose.
Well, I can say for like 3 minutes.
Before I close, is there anyone who would like to say some words about Marty?
I have a few things to read from both sisters and from each of his children. I'm going to start with a few words from a letter from his sister Mary, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, but I'm sure she is in her heart. My dear brother, I really don't want to say goodbye. I need you to know that I love you and I'll always think of you as my protector. The world feels really lonely right now without you. Even if I didn't talk to you every day, I knew you were there. Mom always called us her 6 M's. Now only 5 of us left on earth. It seems every time I lose someone, a piece of my heart goes too. You held me up and let me cry when my world fell apart. And now you're just gone, and I'll always remember how strong you were and so tall. Love you forever, Mary. Kathy. I never saw how truly amazing my dad was until now I'm reading these stories from other people and all I see is kindness. It's also weird to see my life from the outside looking in. In a way, my dad was a strict dad, with unending kindness and giving to others. My dad was funny, like really funny. He liked to make up weird songs and take his princess baths. I'll never forget when he let Angela take a bath with him and they filled the whole bathroom with bubbles. A few years ago, my dad accidentally took the wrong medicine and went to Seraphins for a day of fishing stuff. And they called and said something is wrong with him. We need you. I had to force him into the vehicle, bribing him with whatever he wanted. And I don't know where it came from, but he started in on gold coins and how he would only accept gold coins. And I said, fine, you can have whatever you want, if you just get checked out. So Mom and I finally got him to the ER, and he wouldn't let the nurse do anything without getting paid in gold coins. It was a very interesting day, to say the least. I thought he was having a stroke or something, and it was a medicine mistake, but I will never forget his rant about gold coins. He indulged my girls in every whim possible. My heart breaks knowing I will never call to check in to see if he needs his Coke and lottery tickets again. And if he won, he usually just gave it to someone in need. I will never come in the door and see him sound asleep with my girls in the chair. I won't get to share my wedding day with him. He won't get to see my kids go to school. He loved them so deeply. It was anything for the grandbabies, even though he was their grumpy papa. I'm lost without my dad. I know that God knows what he's doing. But the last time I got to actually talk to my dad, I was holding his hand. And he said, don't worry about me. I will be okay. I said, I love you, Dad. Feel better soon. In a way, he is better because he is at peace. But I needed more time. I can't look in the mirror. It's my dad, my eyes, and I know he's with me always. Kimberly. My dad and I had a complicated relationship. Gosh, it's hard to write that word, Dad. When I was first born, I was his world. My mom told me that after I was born, my dad was working a construction job that required me to go out of town. She said that soon after he came home, she said, what are you doing here? He told her that he quit his job. He couldn't leave his girls. As I grew older, more independent, more opinionated, we grew apart. He still loved and cared for Chuck, but we didn't talk much. At least not compared to how much I talked to the rest of my family, which now that I think about it is pretty much constantly, so maybe that's okay. I always knew that if I needed him, he would be there. There were many times that I did need his help. He helped me move back from Kentucky to Michigan when John got out of the service. He helped me to do most of the house before the Standish. He was a very handy thing to have around and helped John put in the tile floors. We did my plumbing and electrical and even pieced together a furnace for us. I was very lucky to have such a hardworking and big-hearted man for a dad. He could do pretty much any project. I think that one of the best decisions that I made was buying my dad a tablet for Father's Day a few years ago. He wasn't able to keep track of the phone, so we were never able to reach him. But once he got his tablet, he discovered Facebook and video calls. We talked a lot more after he got his tablet. He would call often, even if he didn't have anything to say. Sometimes he just would ask what I was cooking for dinner. He liked the cooking. A lot of times he would use the girls as an excuse, but it brought us a lot closer. I'm also thankful for his knee surgery. He was bored a lot during his recovery and would often call, sometimes several times a day. He also called his sisters, and I know he really enjoyed being able to see them, even though they live so far away. I remember one time I was driving somewhere and we were stopped at a light, and he said that he called his sister Margie, and she had hung up on him. Funny thing is, I'd already talked to her, and she had told me what he said, and I didn't blame her a bit for hanging up on him for it. But I wanted to know his version, so I asked why she hung up, and he said it was because he was picking on her. And I asked him why he would do that, and he said because it was his job as a big brother to pick on her, so that she would know that he loved her. I'm sure Aunt Mary has also felt that special kind of love many times too. He was goofy like that, especially if he had some cackling in him. My dad really loved my mom. We went car shopping a few months ago and I kept asking him what he was looking for. He said he didn't care as long as she got what she wanted. He said she could drive a fish as long as it made her happy. He had a funny way of showing her, sometimes saying it, but he really did care. And he wanted those around him happy. He loved his friends, his job, his family, and his grandkids had him wrapped around their pinkies. I can't believe that we are here to say goodbye. I really don't have the words to do it. So I'll just say, I'm sorry you're gone, and I wish we had more time together. I love you. Thomas. My dad was a good hard worker. He loved his grandkids and his family. He always helped everyone. He loved his dog Tool too, and his sister, she would always jump on his lap after work. He loved to call him Tool a bad dog, but he loved him. He loved to play on his tablet and watch movies and call people he liked, his lottery tickets, going to casino with mom. He loved his bobcat after too. He liked to sing in the tub. He would get crazy if other people messed with other people. He loved working with Dana and Reggie and Dan. He loved his job. I love you, Dad, and I will miss you a lot. And I'm going to take care of Mom and Farm. Margie. I'm really not sure what to say, but I'd like to share a few memories of my brother Martin. I remember that when I was younger, I spent a lot of time at Martin and Lois's house. Sometimes Mom would drop me off on a Monday and pick me up on a Friday. I also remember that after my car accident, Martin and Lois spent a lot of time at the hospital with me. They were there more than anyone else, and that really meant a lot to me. One thing that a lot of people probably don't know is that Martin was my matchmaker. Him and Bill had been friends since high school, and Bill was going through a really rough time in his life. I overheard Martin telling Mom and Dad about Bill and how he was worried about him. I was also having a tough time, and I thought it might be nice to have a new friend. So I told Martin to tell Bill I would go out with him as friends if he wanted. Neither of us was looking for a relationship at the time, but a friend sounded good. Martin set it up, and about a year later, Bill and I got married. Martin was happy because he always considered Bill as a brother, and now he really was. He also liked to tease that he couldn't have friends or his sisters would marry them. He was a good big brother, and I already miss him in his video calls. I really enjoyed listening to him talk about Lois and his kids, but especially loved seeing him with his grandbabies. They would climb all over him and he wouldn't say anything. He loved every minute with him. I'm so incredibly sad I won't get those calls anymore, and I'm really going to miss my big brother. I love you, Martin. Love always, your sister Margie. A lot of those things sum up Martin. But there's funny stories I remember with Martin too. And when you kids want a funny story from your mom and you want to cheer up, ask her how your dad used to drive a bubble to Career Center. It was never a direct route. And it was often a run to the door to get in on time. But we pretty much covered every two track between Pinconning and Bay City at one point in time or another. And there were times that we had vehicle delayed because we had repairing something. I mean, there was often a tire problem or something, but he usually figured it out in time to get us there on time. And he'd say, don't worry about it, they'll wait for us. No, they won't wait for us, this is school. He didn't worry about really anything. It doesn't matter. It was calm, cool, collect. But it was always entertaining. And you knew you were pretty much taking a tardy in your own hands when you got into the vehicle with Mark. Would anybody else like to come up and say a few words?
Angela, you want to come up?
I love my puppet and he is so nice to be alive right now.
I can follow that. Before we part this evening, I would like to read what I believe to be a great message of hope and comfort. It was written by Henry Scott Holland for his wife just before he passed away. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. Whatever we were to each other, we still are. Please call me by my old familiar name. Speak with me in the same easy way you always did. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Think of me and smile. Let my name be the household name it always was. Spoken without the shadow of a ghost in it. Life means all it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. Death is inevitable. So why should I be out of mind simply because I'm out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval very near. Nothing is past or lost. One brief moment and all will be as it was before. Only better and happier, together forever. All is well. I know Marty would be very proud to see how his family and friends are supporting each other during this difficult time. It's at such times when we're at our lowest that we need the arms of those we love to help and support each other. In time, the numbness gradually disappears and we see a light at the end of the tunnel. We step out, we look back, and we're thankful that despite our own grief and sorrow, we had someone else to lean on when our own strength failed us. The catastrophe of death can't be altered, but it can be transformed by love. Because of that love, we're here to share our grief. I hope you'll not feel ashamed or embarrassed to weep openly if it helps. There are here people of like mind. Perhaps you'll feel glad that you took the opportunity to do some of your grieving in the presence of those who have known and love Marty too. Let's remind ourselves that the dead reside not in the grave or in an urn, but in the hearts and the minds of the living. Hold on to Marty in your thoughts. There is no need to part from him too hastily. Talk about him often. Repeat the words and sayings that he said, the jokes that he made, sing the silly songs to the silly words to the silly songs he sang. Enjoy your memories of him just as we have tonight. Love doesn't die, ever. Not real love. So you don't have to say in the past tense that you love Marty. You can still say that you love Marty. I would be remiss if I didn't mention something about the poignancy of today's date. 20 years ago today, the world changed in a massive way for all of us. It made us all pull our loved ones closer. When we leave here shortly, I hope that, like me, you'll embrace those who are close to you. Life is short. Please don't take it for granted. I hope also that you feel a sense of having shared something special for a very special man. May he rest in peace. If you'd like to continue on with the celebration of Marty's life, his family invites you to join them immediately following the service at Peace Turn home. Thank God bless you, and may you go in peace.
This concludes our services. We're going to dismiss from the back of the room so that everybody has an opportunity to come back through and pay their final respects.